Hello again, y'all. Back with another video. This time, I wanted to talk about the second volume of Donny Cates' run of Venom, The Abyss. So, real quick, and this is going to lead into a different thing I want to talk about after I talk about the comic itself. I wanted to do a bulk, thoughts after reading The Abyss, Absolute Carnage, and Venom Island. I wanted to do a bulk video after reading these three, because I've got the other two on order, and I thought I could just, read these three, do a video on them, then read the last two and do a video on them. But, as I would later discover, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about The Abyss first. So, The Abyss is, in my opinion, I enjoyed it. I feel it's a solid second chapter in Donny Cates' run of the character. One thing I really liked is, I like that in this series, it's an Eddie Brock that's had the Venom symbiote for a while. And, because we don't really get that often. At least not in anything that's outside of comics. It's usually, he just gets the suit, or he hasn't had the suit that long. Or, he has it for like a total of, a day and then gets killed by Tobey Maguire. We don't talk about that movie. So, I do like the fact that Eddie's had the symbiote for a while. And this book kind of goes into a little bit the sort of codependence that Eddie and Venom have for each other. I won't give too much away, because again, I suggest you go read the books for yourself. But, it does highlight just, how much they need each other, and how afraid they are to be alone, despite the fact that their relationship is kind of iffy, at best. So, I did enjoy that. Like I said, like I think I mentioned in the first video, the Donny Cates run adds a lot to symbiote lore. And one of the things that adds to this one is, one of the things that this book adds is kind of weird in that the symbiote apparently keeps a record of their hosts. Like a small bit of, their memory, history, personality, and something called a codex. I don't entirely understand it. Maybe the future books explain it more, or I just need to go look it up. So that's a little strange to me, but I ran with it, and on top of that, I got to see Agent Venom, Flash Thompson, for the first time, and it kind of made me want to go check out any books that he's in, because Agent Venom looks cool. And yes, for anyone that's apparently not aware, just like I wasn't, apparently Flash Thompson in the comics is actually kind of cool, and isn't just, a bully or a freaking social media whore like he is in the movies. They actually do something cool with him. So, I might check out some of his books at some point, if I can find any. So, the thing that I ran into when I started reading Volume 3, Absolute Carnage. And this kind of dovetails with a struggle I've had with reading comics, some certain comics, over the past month or two. I came to realize that, Absolute Carnage, while listed as Volume 3, is not really a Volume 3. There's, I guess, a Volume 2.5 that is like a tie-in to some big Marvel event where like dark elves and stuff come and attack the planet. Because on the back of the Abyss, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but on the back of the Abyss, okay, I didn't get a focus. On the back of the Abyss, it says Collecting Venom 2018, number 7 through 12, issues 7 through 12. And then you look on Absolute Carnage, and it says volume 16 through 20, despite the fact that it's volume 3. And so I'm just like, what am I missing here? So I did some Googling and found out there's essentially a volume 2.5 with some information missing. And then I'm like, okay, well, I can skip past that for now and come back to it later. But then the first issue deals with Eddie. It's a one-shot story of Eddie, doing something to get money for X reason. I'm not going to spoil it. And then, hey, Carnage has triggered, the Act 3 of the Spider-Man 2 game in the very next issue. Even though Carnage has not appeared at all in these books yet. Like, we see Cletus Cassidy's body. I guess I am spoiling things a little bit, I'm sorry. We see Cletus Cassidy's body in the Abyss, but we don't actually see Carnage. But by the time this book picks up with issue number 17, Carnage is already back. Which I then looked and seen that Donny Cates did an event called Absolute Carnage. So I gotta pick that up too. So I've put these books on hold until I get a hold of those 2 books to read. And so anybody who has read comics before, I'm certain, is used to this sort of thing where, these trade volumes don't have necessarily everything, or if they do, like, sometimes there will be pieces of the story somewhere else. So, like, I'm certain that's nothing new to comics. I'm not a big comic guy. I just got started really reading them, I want to say a little over a decade ago, but I'm still not that big into it. Like, I read certain ones here and there. Recently I read Scott Snyder's Dark Knight's Metal. And there were definitely times where, an issue would end, the next issue would pick up, and I'm like, okay, what? I'm missing something here. Like, one issue ends with, the Justice League that getting their butts handed to them. And then the very next one, it's the Dark Knights that are getting their butts handed to them. And, oh, by the way, Raven's here. Where'd she come from? Which I guess means that one of the other books that's connected to Dark Knight's Metal has that story. And another place I've had this issue recently is in reading some of the Star Wars comics that bridge episodes 5 and 6. For example, the War of the Bounty Hunters event. If you try to read War of the Bounty Hunters, like, just the trade volumes, like, in any kind of order, you're going to be confused. Like, you have to physically go figure out what the exact issue order is from each series. And there's, like, 5. There's the War of the Bounty Hunters event, there's the Star Wars run, the Dr. Aphra run, the Vader run, and the Bounty Hunters run. And you gotta keep track of it all like that. I spent an entire hour one day, like hour and a half, maybe 2 hours one day, just sitting down and writing out the chronological order, like the trade paperback name for these comics, just so I could read it in order. And I literally wrote in my file, this shit is way too complicated for no reason. So, admittedly, that's kind of killing some of my enjoyment. I like my stories complete and in one spot. But I'm kind of the newbie here, and I'm running out of time, so I might go into this rant a little bit more later. I don't know. I just want to give my quick thoughts on The Abyss and some of my thoughts regarding that issue I'm having with reading comic books. Anyway, after I get a hold of the other two books, I will continue reading through Donny Cates' Venom, and I will get back with y'all on what I think of the rest of it. And by then, I should have the entire series, so maybe I'll do one giant video. Probably not. I'll probably break it up. Later.